I'm Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Mental Health 101. Mental Health 101 is created to empower our awareness. What is mental health? And I have a special guest for today. My avid guest always. He is a husband, father, founder, podcast host, as well as the author of the new book, Poop Soup, none other than Mr. Drewbie Wilson.
Hey, Mr. Daniel. Thank you for having me on the show, man. Always a pleasure getting to hang out with you and share some fun conversation.
Please do come over anytime you have time, Mr. Drewbie, because I need a lot of guests to those lots of podcasts. And thank you for being part of it. And can you please in not invite, introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Absolutely. So I appreciate you sharing. I am a husband, father, entrepreneur. More than anything, I'm a man who's been through some struggles in life. I've dealt with some trauma, some hardships, and found a way to come out the other side. Not always perfect, not always in the greatest shape, but we keep
Yes.
moving forward. And I think that's one of the things that was really empowering for me and for my wife, who helped me write this book. Is sometimes we're just kind of stuck in our own mess, right? We're getting in our own way about things. It's these excuses that we make and these things that we rationalize in our life that are keeping us from truly living our destiny. And
Mm.
so, for me, I think a lot about the times when I was younger where I felt helpless or as if there was nothing I could do to get out of the situation I was in. And now that I'm a little older, a little wiser, I've listened to a few of your great podcast episodes and learned a thing or two. Now I've got the ability
Thank you.
to get out of some of those situations and not be stuck in that big stinky mess that we can often find ourselves in. So it's been a lot of fun, man.
Lot of fun, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Mr. Drewbie. Thank you. And let's talk about mental health awareness for men. We will relate this topic to your poop soup. So, where can you relate? Which chapter of the book itself?
Oh, I think it really starts with the introduction. It's like if you know you're in a situation right now that doesn't feel good, right?
Mm.
It's messy. It's not what you want out of life. You're uncertain about what the future could be because you're just kind of stewing in this mess of not really knowing what to do. Then I think this is where we start. It's just recognizing, you know what, I'm in a place that I don't want to be anymore. And that's
Mm-hmm.
okay. I think that's one of the hardest things for men, especially, is to just admit they're not happy where they are and they want to change.
Mm.
And it's difficult to be a little bit vulnerable, I think, as a man sometimes, and to share those things because we're so programmed to be strong, to be protectors, to be providers, that every now and then we want to be protected, we want to be provided for, right? There's a level to that. And so I think recognizing that you're in a situation that needs changed is number one. And what you'll see as you go through the book is we're giving you the recipe on how to get unstuck from that stinky pot of poop soup. And so the
I
first
like
thing
that.
is you really just have to identify what are the main ingredients, right? If you were going to make a new soup because the soup that you got's not very good, what would you put in it? And more importantly, are you going to just keep putting the same things in it that you have been putting in it because you don't have a label on the ingredients, right? Are you opening the cabinet and just grabbing a handful of containers and pouring stuff in without paying attention? Because that's how you end up in poop soup. If you want to change it, you have to identify the ingredients, you have to identify the emotions that you're adding into every situation. Because I can promise you that if you put a little too much anger into a situation, what do you think is going to happen? You put a little too much sadness into a good situation, it can ruin the moment. Like it's so easy to be happy and to think about something sad and to immediately have that transition or change. And so
Mm-hmm.
the emotions that we bring into a situation play a big part of it. Doing the same thing over and over and over, expecting a different result, procrastinating on the project that you need to do, continuing to say hurtful things to someone that you love just because you know it gets a rise out of them. That's just stirring that big old pot of emotions, right? You're not doing anything to get rid of it. You're just kind of mixing it all together. And if you keep doing that for too long and you keep adding more emotion and you keep letting it like stir up and fester inside of you, you ever boiled anything with the pot on for too long, Mr. Daniel, and everything just makes a huge mess on the stove?
Mm-hmm.
Life is like that too. If you sit in something for too long and you're not happy, it's going to boil over and you're going to make a mess and you're going to scream and yell or fight and get violent. Like these things happen and everyone goes through it. So if you're wanting to make a change, it really starts with recognizing you're in a situation that needs changing.
Mm. Certainly, if you are in a situation that need to change it now and stop procrastinating. So, Mr. Drowy, growing up, what were the direct or unspoken messages you receive about what it means to be a man? Especially regarding showing emotion, admitting struggle, or asking for help.
Ooh, that one right there. It's the asking for help. I think that's
Those.
one of the ones for me that I struggled with a lot was being vulnerable enough to admit that I didn't have it. Right? Because man, it's like, I got it. Don't worry, I got it. Right? Wife asks, oh, don't worry, babe, I got it. Kids ask for something, oh, don't worry, I got it. Like, we got it, right? We're men, we got it. Sometimes we don't got it. And having to come back and admit that after we've confidently said, I got it feels, I don't know, degrading or like you're losing or that you're weak or something along those lines, right? Everybody's version is going to be a little bit different. But I think that's one of the most difficult things for people to do is to just admit, like, I don't know. I don't have an answer and I need help. And it's why so many people get stuck at stage one of not even recognizing that they can change because they don't know what they don't know yet. And if you don't ever ask the question, how can you get the answer? And so if you're out there and feeling stuck and you're like, there's nothing I can do, nothing is going to change, it's probably because you haven't asked somebody for help who is not stuck in the same poop soup pot with the lid on that you are.
Certainly, if you are in a poop soup, get out and take the recipe for Mr. Drewbie, available where books are sold. You work with countless men navigating mental health challenges, isn't it? In your observation, what is the single most damaging message our culture sends to boys and men about vulnerability?
That it makes you weak.
Hmm, yes.
I think vulnerability is seen as a weakness because that's kind of like within the definition is like to be vulnerable is to be weak or to have a spot that's capable of being taken advantage of. And at the same time, I think the awareness of where you're weakest and what needs to be protected, I think that's a strength. I think that's something to really be proud of because a lot of people, they almost, it's like they know what makes them weak and they try to hide it or mask it behind all of these other things, but at the end of the day it comes out somewhere. And I think that's the hardest part is like some people will put on the facade of, oh, I'm not weak, I'm strong, I put up with all of these things, maybe at work or in a certain relationship, and then they take that energy and then go back to some other place, maybe their family or a friend, and they take out that energy on the family or friend in the opposite way. And so even though they're deflecting that weakness on one side, it's causing trauma or damages to someone else because of the way they're deflecting it. And so I think that's a big piece of it is like it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to recognize where you can be hurt And also, it's not okay to take that hurt and just transfer it to somebody else so that you don't have to feel it. Hopefully, I'm explaining that well.
Definitely. Very well said, Mr. Drewbie. So when you hear a phrase, man up, what images or feelings come up to mind, and how has that phrase shown up in the lives of men you work with?
Man up. Um,
Man.
it's, I mean, I think it kind of just it speaks for itself. It's like, hey, I need you to be stronger. I need you to be more tough. I need you to be able to handle these situations. And at the end of the day, I think it's really just it's just a telling. This is another way to tell somebody to be stronger, to keep going. Like, man up, keep going, just keep moving forward, do the thing. Like, this it's just part of it, right? It's interesting because if you go all the way back to like a biblical standpoint, man up, like, all right, well, to be a man is to stand up and to be proud of God and reflect what you're here to do on this earth. And so as long as you just show up and do what you're supposed to do, you're manning up. So anyone that's telling you to man up is really just saying like, hey, keep going. Don't quit. That's all.
Yes, man up. It's okay not to be okay. Ask for help. Why not? So, do you feel there's a specific mask men learn to wear at work, with friends, at home to hide what they are really feeling inside? What does the mask look like and what underneath it?
Ooh, I really think it kind of goes back to what I said earlier about the I got it. It's like,
Mm.
don't worry, I got it. Right? Like you're wearing the I got it mask, which it's like a superhero mask, I think, right? Maybe you're Batman or Iron Man or Superman or whatever man you want to be from the comics. Like, you put
Mhm.
that mask on, you put on that facade of like, don't worry, I got it. I'll take care of it. And much like those superheroes, when they're confident and they got it, like they're really excited and they're really powerful. But when they have to be vulnerable, Superman gets the kryptonite, like he has to look around and he realizes like he can't man up. Like he needs other people to help him in that moment. And I think that's the biggest thing for most men is that they're putting on that mask and they're playing the superhero, not realizing that even superheroes need help from the commoner every now and then, right? Like they need someone to come and help them. Even though they have superpowers, they are still a weakness there. So it's okay as a man to have the weakness and recognize that on occasion you're going to need some regular people to come and help you out of a jam.
So, Mr. Derby, tell us, how do you craft that poop soup?
So the biggest thing from there is really poop soup is a recognition of what you're in because you've been making it up to this point, right? Poop soup doesn't start that way. You don't go into the kitchen with the plan of making poop soup. You go into the kitchen and you start cooking and you stop paying attention to the ingredients and you stop watching what you're doing, and then all of a sudden you look up and realize that something stinks and this doesn't look right, and you taste it and it tastes terrible, and then you're trying to get out of the kitchen realizing that you've blocked the door on the other side and now you can't get out and you're just like stuck in this big stinky mess. Like, life does that to you. It becomes poop soup over time, and the secret is to be able to turn off the heat of the stove, recognize what ingredients you keep putting into this thing, and then taking long enough for building a path on how you're going to unlock the door and start fresh. And I think that's the biggest piece that most people are missing is like, it didn't start that way. It got that way over time, and it's going to continue to be like that until you make the point to stop doing all the things that you've been doing that got you where you are.
So, what behind the title of the book, Mr. Joey? Poop soup.
It's it's just all about what it is. It's just about getting people's attention because it's silly and it's stupid and it's a crappy book name, honestly, but If it gets people's attention and they stop for just long enough to
Yes,
read it and be curious, that's the whole point.
true. Yes, for sure people will be curious. Poop soup, I want to read that. What is inside? Very well said, Mr. Trovey. What a nice marketing indeed. In your experience, how does society treat a man who expresses anger differently than a man who expresses sadness, fear, or grief? What does the difference teach men about which emotions are safe?
Ooh. I think it depends on where they're seeing the emotion unleashed. So let's look at it from the perspective of children, right? Let's say young boys and young men out there, early teenagers. They're not quite grown up yet.
Mm-hmm.
Different emotions seen in different contexts can make a very big impact. So, an example, seeing like you're a young boy and you're watching TV with your dad and you see the UFC fighters are really like angry and they're beating each other up and like they're fighting. Okay, or like anger and emotion, like you seeing that and like in that context, like okay, these guys are fighting. They're trying to win. Like it's a competition. There's pride involved, and so like you start understanding it. But then you take that same kid and that same dad and you put them in a restaurant and all of a sudden something happens and the dad is fighting someone in the restaurant, same anger, same violence, same emotions, context is 100% different for that young boy. All of a sudden there's emotions for him that are fear, anxiety, stress, like the emotions that young boy is going to go through in that situation are totally different than the one where he's watching the UFC fight with his dad. So I think in that aspect to understand how these emotions are affecting the young men out there is where are they getting the learning from? What experiences are they going through when they're seeing these emotions, and who is there to guide them to understand the feelings that they're having as they witness those emotions in real time? And it's a very layered thing, and we could probably nerd out and go deep on it for a while, but it really just comes back to like anything. Do you learn better watching someone else do the thing, or do you learn better by doing the thing yourself? Everyone's a little bit different. So I think understanding how those emotions come into play, there's just a lot of variables to it, I guess, is the best way for me to think about it.
Certainly. So, Mr. Derby, what the hardest for most men? Identifying what they are actually feeling or expressing another person? What do you think that is?
Um, I think there's a lot of ego and pride involved. I
Hmm.
think a lot of men have a character that they've created for themselves, an alter ego that protects them from some of those vulnerabilities and traumas that we have as men. And so I think that it's just about protecting that. I think we've worked really hard to have a certain level of respect for ourselves and from others, and we don't like to lose that.
Certainly. So, you have seen men lose friendships, marriages, and careers because they could not, or you could not, or did not know how to communicate what was going on inside. What What's lost when a man is isolates in his struggles?
I think the biggest thing in that situation is humans were built for community. Like we were designed to have human interaction. And so when you isolate yourself and you cut off that interaction, I really think people men especially, they are great at rationalizing or creating justifications for things. And so we will find every way possible to justify the fact that we don't need someone else and that we got it, we can handle it. I think oftentimes there can be hurt feelings when someone does recognize our vulnerabilities and calls us on it. And I've definitely had friends over the years that if I look back on it now and I think about, where did we start to drift apart and what was the thing that caused, that initial separation. And, a lot of times it's probably a conversation that was said, something said in an emotional state that caused some feeling, and being like, you know what, I don't need that person in my life. And reducing the need for the fulfillment that you get from that relationship, right? All of us have friends that we like maybe grew up with and spent a lot of time with, and those are the guys that we go to the bar and grab a beer with on the weekend. But maybe you get to a point where you really don't want to go to the bar and have a beer, and you reach out to your buddy and you're like, hey man, let's go play golf instead. And they're like, nah, I'd rather go to the bar, man. Like, man up. Don't be a wimp. Come to the bar. And, maybe in my mind, I'm like, well, I don't want to drink like that anymore because I'm not a good person when I drink like that. So I need to avoid that situation. And so now I have to avoid this person because I don't want to go and feel pressured into doing something that I don't want to do. And I don't want to have to defend myself against this person's opinion or perspective about how I should be living my life. And so you start to separate those relationships and start to realize that there are seasons and reasons that you have certain relationships. You can look back at certain relationships and realize like, hey, I had to go through that to understand that I don't want to be that much of a giving person, right? Like I gave too much and got taken advantage of. Or I realized that I too soon trusted this person with information that I shouldn't have because they went and told someone else. And so like, you just kind of have to work through the process. And sometimes, those relationships end. Sometimes when that ends, you're really hurt for a little while. And then you meet someone else and like, oh my gosh, I had to end that relationship so that this new one could begin. And now that this new one has began, I see all of the opportunity for what's to come.
Very well said, Mr. Drewbie. So, if you could redefine strength for the next generation of boys and men, what would you want that new definition to include?
Ooh, that's a tall ask. If I could redefine strength, I don't know that I would want to redefine it. I think the definition is strong. I think
Mm,
what I would like to do is set the bar a little bit higher for what we expect from others, in the sense of from ourselves first as an example, and then others in terms of, if I'm going to do a better job of representing what strength looks like, then all of us can do a better job of that. And what I mean is taking ownership of the example that we set. So really having passion in being someone who sets that bar a little bit higher of what others can do for themselves when they stop accepting those rationalization and excuses. So just kind of showing, hey, even though I went through this, and this, I'm still showing up and doing this, so that if you're going through something, you can keep showing up too.
certainly. Accountability, people. And what role do fathers, coaches, teachers, and other male role models play in modeling a healthier version of masculinity for the next generation?
Ooh. Um, I'll start by saying not all of them do. And what
Yeah.
I mean by that is not all men are setting a great example in every area of life. Sometimes it's just, maybe they're really great professionally, but they have a terrible family life. Or maybe they have a great family life, but they're always broke and always struggling financially. And it's like, you don't want to be broke and struggling, but you do want a good family life, and you do want to be successful financially, but you don't want it to be at the expense of your family. So I think it's important to recognize that all the men in your life are setting an example of some sort. You have to recognize that what you want out of your life is the first and foremost process to figure out. And then once you know that, you can take what works from this person and what works from this person and use it for yourself and make your own special recipe to get out of poop soup, right? Like I said, we give you the recipe in a basic, and then if you want to fancy it up and add your own flavor to it, then that's the whole point. But you have to start by getting clear about what you want, taking a little bit of this that worked for me, taking a little bit of that works for Daniel, using it for you, and going and creating your own version of it.
Yes, and voila, that's the recipe of success. So, Mr. Drewbie, can you please invite our listeners to support all your books, your advocacy, your business, your podcast, or anything you want to promote on Mental Health 101?
Absolutely. Like I said, had just released Poop Soup in January of 2026. We're really excited to share this with the world. So if you're struggling, you're stuck in a situation that's kind of crappy and you know you want to get out of it, grab my book on Amazon, head over to poopsoupbook.com, grab a copy there. We have some special bonuses with it. And more than anything, change the recipe, get up, take action, and make yourself some new soup.
Certainly, building your legacy, people, because life is too short. Stop procrastinating. Share your talents to the world, just like Mr. Drewbie and I doing right now. Building your legacy for our generation to come. So, Mr. Drewbie, looking forward for more success, and well, I hope you will be my regular guest to all my podcasts. Please do come over and over and over, because let's empower fellow podcast hosts.
Absolutely. Thank you again.
You are most welcome, and thank you so much for your time. Welcome, people. See you soon.